Okay, so we are given this question 3 here. Let's see what we can get. Question 3. So the use of information and communication technology, which is ICT, within, okay, this is another scenario. So the use of ICT within the workplace has its advantages and disadvantages. Now, the 3A says for the list of sectors in the table, identify one impact of ICT and provide one example of how it is applied in each sector. Impact of ICT. I think there's a topic like that, impact, ICT impact there. Okay. It's a law enforcement. Oh, this is education. So in education, what can be done? Okay. You say improve access to learning. So, learning resources. So here we can say online platforms like Google Classroom. So access lessons and submit homework. From anywhere. An area. Then the next one could be law enforcement. Yeah. Faster or quick access. So you could just say quick access. Quick access to criminal records and databases. Yeah. Come on now. Because there's the criminal record. Hold on. Press the wrong key. Yeah. Okay. So examples could be police use laptop. Instantly check the person's driver's license or outstanding warrant. Things like that. So we just check the system, and if there's an outstanding warrant on the person, yeah, or if there's any issues or criminal thing about the person, it will now display there. So yeah, you could say in the medical field, better patient record keeping and sharing. So better record keeping and sharing. Better patient records keeping and sharing. So here you can say doctors use electronic records to quickly access the patient medical history across different hospitals. So they can access that across different hospitals. Yeah, so that will give you 6 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives you 6 marks. Okay. So now let's look at 3B. Define the term telecommuting. Define the term telecommuting. Okay. So I'm going to use here. So I will say 3B. So define the term and state one advantage of telecommuting. Okay. Let me see. Telecommuting also known. Telecommuting is when work is when an employee works from home or another location outside the traditional office using internet. Also known as remote work. Now advantage. Is the advantage? Yes. So advantage. Yeah. Advantage. So goodbye. Provide flexible work schedule. I can provide a person with work schedule, flexible work schedule. or it can save you time and money, travel time and money, so the worker doesn't need to spend money traveling. They can just work from home or anywhere else the person finds themselves. Or it can allow the company also to hire people from different locations and different countries, any which way that works for you. Yeah, and reduces stress from public transport and all that. So it's just more like working from home instead of going to the office every day. So that's basically what telecommuting is. So you just stay at home and work, or just work from any remote location. So more like walking away from traditional office using technology. That's it. Okay. So now C, 3C, information will be saved on a company's network, both locally and online. Outline the difference between cloud storage and local storage. This one is a little bit dicey, so we could just say 3C. So 3C, cloud storage, cloud storage. So say data is stored on remote servers owned by a third party. Third party like Google Drive, iCloud, iCloud, or OneDrive. etc. And access via the internet. So it is being accessed from the internet. Remember to put your full stop. Here. So the next one will be local storage. What does it do? How does it work? Local storage. Okay, so data is stored on physical devices at your location. Example like hard no yeah, examples, say hard drive, USB flash drive, or thumb drive, the SSD. Yeah. So it's just physical, that's all. So more like the cloud storage is files you save on someone else's computer, and you need internet to access those files anywhere. Then data for local storage, data is stored in physical devices, like your own files stored in your own device, like your computer's hard drive or your thumb drive. Yeah, so that's how it is. And no internet needed for this. So that's how it is. Okay, now let's see what we are going to do. D. Let's see, question D. The Chief Information Officer, CIO, would like to implement a program that determines the total distance traveled to work by 50 employees as a test project. The program should accept the following data: employee's name and employee vehicle details such as the make, model year, petrol type, gas or diesel, and the distance traveled to work in kilometers. Calculate the total combined distances for all employees. Print the total combined distances for all employees. This is one big one. Okay. Well, they have given you a scenario. Now state any two variables and their data types required for the program. Two variables. This one is DICO. Okay, you know what? I'm going to use this big space to do this other one that says write an algorithm, while I use the other spaces to, answer them. So I could just say here, that's question 3. 3DI. So 3DI. So state any two. I could just use 2. Just say distance traveled. Distance traveled. And let me just make it 2 here. So the distance traveled, and the next one is going to be the total distance. Remember, it says data type, right? Okay. Total distance. So yeah, I could use maybe a float. Yeah, I could use a float, like 10 point something kilometers or something like that. Let me try using a float. So the type will be data type. So data type will be float. Or I could just use something like this. I just want to give 2 different, not the same. I could just say employee name or petrol type. Okay. Petrol type. The data type will be string character. So Petrol type could be diesel and all that, right? So the reason is that, distance can be in kilometers, could be in whole numbers or fraction, right? But let me use fraction because sometimes you could get 10.2 kilometers and so on, things like that. So that's why I'm using a float. Okay, you could also use integer, but the integer doesn't have a fraction or decimal place, while the float has a decimal place. Then on the other hand, since it's text-based characters, right? Or alphanumeric characters, you could just use strings. Yes. So, okay. Now it says outline 4 characteristics of an algorithm. Again, there we go again. I'm going to look for a way to put it here. 4 characteristics of here will be D I. So 4 characteristics. Let me just put an asterisk. Yeah, I could just say it should be clear that it's unambiguous. Yeah, just it's is easy to understand. Then it has to be finite, so must stop after a number of steps. Finite. Must stop after a fixed number of steps. Fixed number of steps. Right? Yes. Another thing about it is that must take input. You must take input. To work with, not get data to work with. And another part could be that produce output. Now there are other steps, but output is pretty much simple to put here. Output. So yes. So it gives results. Gives a result at the end. So it gives a result at the end. So at least there are other steps like executable that it must be effective, it must do some work. Yeah. So yes, things like that. So it must be clear, it must be finite, input and output. Yeah. And now let's see the last one there. Write an algorithm to create the program requested by the CIO. Oh, I hate this type. But let's see. We just write a simple program using this space here by the CIO. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Remember, start with the steps, right? So you can say start. I like doing mine this way, so it's a start. You could set your variables, total distance 0, and you create a loop. Create a loop like a for loop will do. For employee count. So this loop is supposed to probably receive input, right? So just create a loop. So for each time you create a loop until the loop exits. Employee count 1 to 50. If they are 50, so it will be equal to 1. So 50, then do an action. For employee count 1 to 50, do, right? If you're doing something, let me see where I can put it. Okay, so here is a input employee name. I think that's it. Employee's name and all that. Yeah, employee name. We could say input vehicle. So input this, input that. Vehicle make. Yes. Or do input again? Do input. Vehicle model. Input. Vehicle year. Vehicle year. Input petrol type, which is either gas or diesel. Input. Then distance traveled, yeah. Distance travel. Distance travel. So after that, now we are going to run some process, which is called total distance. So we are now changing this variable from 0 to do some work. So total distance will be total distance plus distance traveled. Then you do something. Okay. So next, So after the first one, you do next. After the first one, you do next. First one, you do next. Yeah, next, you count the employee. Employee count. Okay. So you're doing this. Do the first one, next employee count, the next employee count. Let me shift this back so you know where we are. So the next employee count. Then you have to give an output, which is string total combined distances all employee Remember, I'm putting the double quotes there because it's a string that needs to be displayed. Then the comma is just to call in the variable total distance. This one, call it back here for it to be displayed on screen as a result. Then add another comma, so more like concatenation that I'm doing. Now put in the kilometer. Then I will end. Okay, so that's it. Now there are other ways you can do this, but I think this should be way more simpler. You can use a while loop instead of using a for. You can use a while loop for this too. So, but I'm just using a for to make this. Okay, you can use a while loop to also do it. Yes. Okay. So you start the program at 0 and you end after getting the inputs while creating a loop. So you repeat this task for 50 employees, and actually details and they are stored. So after you get to 50, it will now display this. Okay.